You know, maintenance costs can really be a pain in the ass. I'm just going to say it right up front. It can be really sad when your van or your RV breaks down. It can really be irritating. Well, let's talk about that for a minute. I was watching Holly Yu on her YouTube channel this morning, and she did a recent update. She's on the road, back in her van, time with her van, getting it ready to go back on the road. She had left it in storage while she went back home for a few weeks and then returned to pick up the van and get on the road. And she ran into some issues immediately, ran into some issues. It's very frustrating. I felt so sorry for her because I know what it's like. She couldn't get the battery to work, and she knew the battery was probably going to be discharged because it had been sitting for a long time. But she couldn't get it started, so she called AAA. AAA came out, and the battery was completely dead. They couldn't get it started. So she ended up buying a new battery, $200, and couldn't get that started either. So there was something wrong, something going on electrical that they couldn't figure out. So they ended up towing her into a mechanic that was nearby, luckily. And the mechanic looked at it and noticed that there was a cable that had been pushed aside, a cable that was keeping the battery disconnected from the engine, evidently. And so, because of the oversight, because of this one cable that had been pushed aside, and evidently the guy from AAA didn't know about it, the cable was connected and she was able to start the van. So she actually ended up spending $200 on a battery that probably she didn't need to spend. It was this issue with the cable. Anyway, next problem comes up. There's a water leak, and she had to get that fixed. There was a PCP pipe in her plumbing system that evidently froze up at some point during the previous winter and caused a crack, and it was spilling water everywhere. So she had to get that fixed. And once she got all of these repairs done, she wanted to replace a couple of air filters. And ProMaster, for some reason, I don't know if the other van manufacturers are like this or not in terms of the Ford Transit or the Mercedes Sprinter, but the ProMaster, when you try to change out those air filters, they are like the devil to get to. Almost impossible to do it by yourself. You've got to have someone hold up part of the engine assembly above the filters, hold that up while you try to get to the screws to unscrew it. Why in the hell these people make it so difficult for people to change a simple filter? It's unbelievable. So she had to go through that. That was a major issue. And all of this was just getting ready to get back on the road. She was getting mad, getting frustrated, but she's so sweet. She handled it really nicely. She's not a mechanic. She's like me. She doesn't know a whole lot about repairs and that kind of thing, but she did her best to get the van back up and running. And then I was watching another guy who was having some problems with his Ford Transit. It had broken down 3 times within like a 3,000-mile trip. It had stopped starting for some reason. And he said it always happened after a hard rain. After a severe rain, he had a hard time getting the Ford Transit to start. He had to have it towed in 3 times. And the expense, he shared that the first tow cost $1,100 to tow the van in. The second was $600, and I think the third time he had to tow it in was $1,300, because the cost, of course, is based on how far the tow truck has to drive to pick you up and haul you to a mechanic. It's a mileage idea. Luckily, though, he did have a car service that paid for the towing, so he was saved the out-of-pocket expense. But he was making the point that you really need to have a car service like AAA, or you need to have towing service through your insurance company or some other third-party vendor to pay for that towing. You need some towing insurance, especially if you're going to be going to out-of-the-way places where tow trucks are going to have to drive 2 hours to come pick you up. But he comes to find out that this Ford Transit, below the windshield, along that grill, below the windshield at the top of the engine, where the hood hinge into the body, the mold of the Ford Transit, there's a gap there that allows water to rush in. And as it would be planned, of course, right where the water runs in, there's an electrical box, an electrical circuit, some electrical wiring right at the point of exposure. So after a hard rain, the water was rushing in and splattering all over this electrical circuit.
Now, under the hood, we all know that the rain can come in this channel and it can drip on all this electrical stuff. So those mechanics in Bismarck, North Dakota, they thought that the PCM module, with all these wires going in it, they found water in it, in the connections. So they think that water is intruding on my connections, and that's what's causing all these warning lights to happen. So they were able to blow it out, add some grease to it, and then the code's cleared. So maybe this is my problem. I'm going to my dealership later in 2 weeks or so. So I bought this thing. It's made by Wolfbox. It's a little air blower. It can be used as an inflator too, but I thought maybe it'd be good to have something that can blow out these little rain channels.
And I did a little bit of research. I didn't do a whole lot, but I did look online and there were some people in the comments of his video that also mentioned it, that this was common in some Ford Transits where you have this water running and getting underneath the hood. And there was all these kinds of various hints and tips on how to block it, how to fix it, to keep that water from rushing in. It's just unbelievable. You spend all this money on these fancy schmancy modern vehicles, and the manufacturers still can't get it right. There's still an issue that comes up that causes problems. Unbelievable. And I'm sitting on a car right now that needs a water pump. I just bought a new battery, and I've got to spend probably $400, $500 on a water pump, mostly labor, because the water pump itself is only $100 at O'Reilly's. But I can't change the water pump. I've got to pay somebody to replace it because it's got a leak. Probably because of this severe winter we had here in Austin. We had a really severe couple of weeks of cold, freezing, icy temperatures, and probably during that time the seals or something probably broke, and now I've got a water leak, and I think it's the water pump. Probably going to need a new water pump. The point is, I'm coming to you today and sharing with you my frustration with maintenance issues, because if you have a van or an RV and you're traveling, it's going to happen. There's no getting around having maintenance problems. So what do? Now, I know we talk about maintenance and repair tips all the time on YouTube. There's all kinds of tips and things that we can do to be prepared. And so I'm going to add my 2 cents worth here. And it's probably stuff that you're already aware of. You've already heard 1,000 times, but I'm going to mention it anyway. And in case there's someone watching this who's thinking about getting into van life, these are some things you need to think about if you're thinking about maintenance repair and how to be prepared, because it's going to happen. You're going to break down and you're going to have to spend some money on getting repairs. And of course, the first thing that I always preach is to have an emergency fund. You've got to have money set aside, some sort of a repair fund with a few $1,000s in it. Because if you're looking at a repair, especially on a van like a Ford Transit or a ProMaster, you're looking at, thousands of dollars for a repair, just for what would normally be a simple repair could add up to $600 or $800 before you know it. If you have any money at all, stick it into a repair fund. You've got to have an emergency fund set aside. It's just a must. The other thing that we can do is we can begin to look at small repair problems and get them fixed ahead of time. Fix the small repair immediately, because the small repair over time tends to become a major expensive repair. So if you see your tires are getting a little on the bald side, go ahead and get them changed. When you have the money and the time and you're able to schedule a new set of tires, go ahead and buy them. Go ahead and get it done. The other thing is this is one of my major weaknesses is you've got to learn the basics. You don't have to become a full certified mechanic, but you do need to maybe do some education, do some learning of the basics. This is where I need to do some more learning, because I know absolutely nothing about engines. Some people could go out to the parking lot today, buy the $94 water pump that I need to buy, pull out their toolbox and change out that water pump. They have the knowledge and the know-how, the tools to do that. I don't. So I'm going to have to pay somebody to do it. But I don't think it's that difficult. There are certain things that a person can do and learn about where you don't have to have a fancy schmancy garage with a lift and the certification of a mechanic. There are things that we can do, we can learn. And YouTube is great at helping us educate ourselves about engine repairs. There's also something we can do in terms of, while we're in a comfortable spot, when we're not under stress, when we have the time, we can sit down and we can start making a good list of things that we'll need in case something happens. We can make sure our roadside assistance is in place. Make sure we have AAA or some sort of insurance coverage, something to help us with roadside assistance. We need to make sure that our tire shops and repair shops are listed. And as you're planning your trip out, go ahead and look for tire shops and repair shops within those major cities along your route. Go ahead and do some homework ahead of time. It will help relieve the stress. Make a good contact list of numbers and email addresses of people that you can contact. But get that list done, while you have time. While you have time to settle in and you're not under any stress, you can take your time and sort of build that list. Something else we can do is schedule our time and slow down and not try to be in such a hurry. The reason mechanical issues can become so stressful is because we're in the hurry to get to somewhere, or we are on a deadline of some kind. We're meeting friends at a certain location, and wouldn't you know it, it breaks down. So if we can plan into our schedule a bit more of leeway, we talk about margins. Van life requires margins. It requires a time built into your schedule to accommodate any sort of unknown issues that may come up. Try not to work on such a tight deadline. That's the part of the freedom of being on the road, is you don't have to meet deadlines. So work into your schedule some slowdown periods of, some times that you can build in so that you're not under so much stress. The goal here is to be as prepared as possible. We can't avoid the mechanical problems. They're going to show up. The only thing we can do is be prepared. If you're on the road, things are going to happen. It's more about the systems and the planning and the preparation that we have in place that will get us ahead. So before anything goes wrong, hopefully we've got in place some systems, some preparation, some plans, some thoughts ahead of time on what we can do. That's all I've got for today. Go out and have a good day. And if you have any mechanical issues, take a deep breath. We've all been there. It's going to happen. Just work your way through it. Go out and have a good day anyway. And I will see you tomorrow.